Alright, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now let's talk about UFC 294, because last night UFC 294 took a pretty significant hit and then was later, shortly thereafter, refurbished by one Alexander the Great Volkanovski. I want to talk about the situation in general. I want to talk about how I think this fight might play out. I want to talk about some things that I think Volkanovski could do better or differently this time around to give himself a better chance to beat Islam Makhachev and all of that fun stuff. So, Charles Oliveira gets injured in sparring, nasty cut above his eyebrow, bad look. Okay, from Charlie Olives, first of all, off rip. I'm a huge Charles Oliveira fan, and I was very irritated by this news. A lot of people in my chat continuously were asking me, why is Charles Oliveira not in Abu Dhabi yet? What is going on? I didn't think there was anything to be concerned about, and here we are. One, I don't really understand why somebody would be sparring hard this close to a fight. I understand wanting to do some fine-tuning and, peak, but you're so close to the fight. Do you know what I mean? So either Charles Oliveira wasn't being careful with himself and his own body, or his sparring partner wasn't doing that same thing, which is crazy to think that Shoot the Box would have a guy who's about to fight for a championship be sparring a guy who's not being careful, or vice versa. It's just insane to me. It completely, in my opinion, avoidable situation. This isn't Tony Ferguson tripping on a cable wire that was left hanging around. This is like just almost kind of reckless. I don't know, it's a little irritating if I'm being honest, but regardless, thank God for Alexander Volkanovski. That man is an absolute giga chad. I don't know too many people that would be willing to step up on short notice, fly to Abu Dhabi, and fight Islam Makhachev in less than 2 weeks notice, but thankfully for us, Alexander Volkanovski does exist. Honestly, this fight might be better. That's not very often that happens, where a massive fight that everybody's looking forward to falls apart and we get a better fight because of it, or at the very least a more competitive fight than was originally scheduled. I know Charlie Olives looked great in his last outing, but we've already seen how competitive, how close in skill level Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev is. I think this is going to be a phenomenal fight, dude. I also want to just touch on this because I know that there are some people that are a little cynical, a little negative, and not overly hyped, that they think Volkanovski deserved to get another shot at Islam Makhachev, but they didn't think that he deserved this to happen. Do you know what I mean? To have to do it, to have to step up on short notice. And I can understand that sentiment, and I can understand people being cynical and negative about the situation, because Volkanovski is not going to have the time to prepare that you would like him to have to fight Islam Makhachev. But that same goes the other way. Islam Makhachev was preparing for Charles Oliveira, has had the mentality that he's fighting a guy that I already finished. Do you know what I mean? Not me personally, but Islam Makhachev from his POV, right? He already finished Charles Oliveira. It was one of his easier fights to date, if we're being honest. He clipped him, jumped on top of him, and finished him. He knows he can hurt him on the feet. He knows he can finish him on the ground. And those are the two areas where Charles Oliveira, obviously, is unbelievably dangerous. So for Islam Makhachev, I feel like he was walking into this like, fucking hell, dude. I already finished this guy. This is easy money. And then less than 2 weeks before he has to fight, his boogeyman shows up. The guy that gave him his toughest test to date. The guy that arguably beat him, depending on what you think, I guess, when you watch that fight. I've watched it back multiple times. I think there is still a pretty good argument that Volkanovski could have gotten 3 of those rounds. And you've now got to fight that guy when you were essentially preparing for a dude that you knew you could finish already, because you fucking did it already. Do you know what I mean? Islam Makhachev found out Alexander Volkanovski doesn't have a neck I can choke. Do you know what I mean? He's got some of the best choke defense of all time. Islam Makhachev found out that I can't just get this guy to the ground and smash him the way that I do lightweights, okay? Because I have to use all of my effort into actually keeping him down, because the motherfucker is not just hard to get down, he's hard to hold there. So I may get to the best position that you could possibly ask for in grappling. I've got his back, fully locked in body triangle, and I can't do a fucking thing with it aside from getting punched in the face from over top of this bald man's head. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would not be happy with this circumstance if I was Islam Makhachev. This is a way tougher fight. Now, I do understand people being cynical about Volk not having the time to prepare that we would like him to have. I also understand that I've seen some people bringing up the fact that, well, last time he, spent a bunch of time bulking up and things like that. I could be mistaken or just having false memories. I'm pretty sure that Volkanovski himself said after the fact that if he were to do things again, he wouldn't put on as much weight because he felt like the strength advantage that he gained from bulking up wasn't significant enough to outweigh the loss of speed and things like this from that bulk up. So I think that this almost benefits him. He's going to be faster and lighter on his feet. He's already strong as fuck. We know this, okay? And I don't know that an extra 10 pounds, which, by the way, it wouldn't be 10 pounds of muscle. That would literally take you like fucking a year, 2 years to put on 10 pounds of muscle. That's not how shit works. Okay, it would have been some fat also. I don't know that it's going to be to his detriment. I think that he'll be comfortable at his natural weight. I think that he'll have a fucking easy peasy weight cut. 10 less pounds than he's used to. Okay, and it's honestly, man, I don't know that if there was a guy that I would feel confident in taking a fight on short notice, one, it would be Sean Strickland. Two, it might be Alexander Volkanovski, because he's already had an entire training camp for Islam Makhachev. That's one. Two, he is so fucking competitive that I would imagine every goddamn minute that they are not in a designated training camp for an opponent, which there's only been one since, and that was Yair Rodriguez, I would imagine this guy's been preparing for this Islam Makhachev rematch ever since he lost the first time around. There's no way that he hasn't spent any time in the gym trying to do shit that he thinks would work against Islam Makhachev when he has been wanting this rematch ever since it happened. He even said, we'll do it in your backyard next time. So I get that Abu Dhabi is like a good place for Islam Makhachev to be. Volk already said that he would do this shit, man. This isn't new. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that I'm overly concerned about lack of preparation on the side of Alexander Volkanovski. I think that, as I said, he's going to be lighter on his feet and faster, and he even said that he thinks he would bulk up less and he would just probably cut less weight next time around. He also said he would do it in Islam's backyard in Abu Dhabi, so fine, no problems there. I also think that he's probably spent every extra minute he has in the gym preparing for a rematch with Islam Makhachev. He already knew shit that he was good at for the first training camp. He found out in the fight that he's better at some things than he thought and not as good at some things as he thought. So he's probably going to be less concerned about the grappling and things like that of Islam Makhachev and a little more concerned, a little more reserved in the striking department, because Islam Makhachev has very underrated striking. And I said this in my What Can Charles Oliveira Do Differently video. Islam Makhachev's striking is very underrated. As long as his feet are fucking firmly planted underneath him, so usually on the back foot. Volkanovski could try and bait him out. Volkanovski's not an idiot. He's clearly seen, oh, that guy's fucking very good defensively with his counters, his kicks off of the back foot. If I can get him to come forward when he looks like a little fucking psychopath, when he looks like Khabib Nurmagomedov trying to strike, breaststroking through midair, if I can get him to do that, overextending, if I can get his feet to be not under his body the way that they should be, he might be able to land some shit, dude. And also, by the fucking way, don't forget it's 2023, and we've seen unbelievable shit this entire fucking year. All year. We just watched Sean Strickland on short notice, not as short of notice, but on short notice, make Israel Adesanya look like a fucking amateur kickboxer, okay? We watched Sean O'Malley put down Aljamain Sterling with relative ease. Do you know what I mean? That fight didn't last very long, and just one good shot was all it took. We've seen a ton of crazy fucking upsets, and if there's a guy that can pull it off, it's Alexander Volkanovski. And again, I'm not overly concerned about the lack of preparation because I know that this motherfucker's been preparing for a second fight with Islam ever since. Also, dude, if it didn't happen now, we may never have gotten to fucking see it. I know that, Islam should have probably beat Charles Oliveira. Volkanovski should have probably beat Ilia Topuria, but you never fucking know, dude. Ilia Topuria could have gone out there and starched Volkanovski with a clean left hook or some shit. Charles Oliveira could have gone out there, head kick KO'd Islam Makhachev. Like, you never fucking know, dude. And then guess what? We don't get this fight at all. So, while the circumstances are not ideal, while Volk is stepping up on complete and total short notice, less than 2 fucking weeks, like a Giga Chad madman that he is. I'm not upset by any means, okay? Not anymore, dude. And if Charles Oliveira is not going to fight Islam Makhachev, I want to see Volk. You know what I mean? Justin Gaethje, has he earned himself a title shot? Fuck yeah. But I want to see the guy that we know is capable of beating him. We know has the skills capable of beating him. Whether or not you think he won that fight, we know that skill for skill, they're fucking almost dead even. And as a matter of fact, if Volkanovski was just a little bit bigger, I think that his skills are more than Islam Makhachev. So it's going to be a fucking banger, dude. I'm not going to give an early prediction. I still want to go back and rewatch their old fight. I want to rewatch some other shit and things like that before I give a hardline position. But I will say this, dude. I would not be shocked for a fucking second if Alexander Volkanovski goes out there and gets the job done. If Islam Makhachev is to get the job done, I would imagine it would be another decision. But I could see a world where Islam Makhachev actually hurts Alexander Volkanovski on the feet, because I don't think that the grappling is going to be there for... Not that it's not going to be there, I just don't think that there's ever going to be a scenario where Islam Makhachev is able to, like, pass Volk's guard and submit him, or pass his guard and TKO him, because he's too hard for Makhachev to hold down. So, yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. Is it ideal or more ideal for Islam Makhachev? Yes. And by the way, the reason why I'm not on here crying about short notice, making excuses, or preemptively making excuses, is because I don't want to be like Islam Makhachev or his fan base. I don't want to be, if you go read the fucking comment sections on Instagram, oh, this is a lose-lose for Islam, he can't win, it's fucking whatever. Or it being like Islam himself, fucking telling Volkanovski not to use short notice as a goddamn excuse. Motherfucker, you wouldn't even be able to perform if it wasn't for this man. Just say thank you and shut the fuck up, okay? Also, coming from him, that's rich, okay? Because after the first scorecards were read in Perth, Australia, that motherfucker was making excuses immediately. Immediately. He was making excuses in the post-fight interview. He made excuses after the fact talking about Australia. Bitch, you wanted to fucking fight there. You called out Volkanovski. You said in Australia. You set the date, the place, the time, all that bullshit. And then you want to use that as a fucking excuse after the fact. Well, it was in Australia. I didn't have enough rehydration time, or I wasn't allowed to use an IV, or fucking all this bullshit. Shut up, dude. Volk's not going to be making no fucking excuses like that. I'll tell you what, dude. Because if he was, he wouldn't be accepting this fight. He wouldn't be. He is 100%, 150% fucking confident in his abilities to go out there and get the job done, or he wouldn't take this fight. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to take a fight and preemptively be making excuses in his head. That's not how he does it. Do you know what I mean? And I understand that his fans can do that on his behalf. That's fine. That's not Volkanovski. He's not going to go and make excuses preemptively or fucking after the fact. He won't. He just won't, dude. Do you know what I mean? So, anyways, dude. Like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I know it's fucking not the best circumstances, but we get a hell of a good fight on our hands in less than 2 fucking weeks, dude. So, it is what it is, man. See you at the next video. Bye-bye.